Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulihil Kareem, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man tabi'ahum bi ihsanin ila yawmiddin. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everybody. I hope that you're enjoying our Ramadan Refresher Series. This is your brother AbdelRahman Murphy joining you once more, and I hope that you guys are really learning a lot from Shaykh Hassan. He's someone that's a gem, and I know that in this day and age we're really up to date with a lot of famous speakers, but Shaykh Hassan is someone who kind of keeps it on the DL. But has a lot to offer when it comes to knowledge and development. So I hope you guys are benefiting from his sessions in particular, and I'm here just as like a backup. So I hope you guys are enjoying my sessions as well. There was an ayah in the Quran that was recited in Taraweeh that I heard that really impacted me, and I think that the reason why it did was because it really kind of reminded me a lot about who I need to become. There's a hadith Qudsi where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He tells us that my servant, I am as my servant sees me. And what that teaches us, that very profound, short but deep lesson teaches us that our perception is very important. Whether you're a positive person or a negative person will have a lot to do with how you see your life, how you see the events that unfold in your life, and how at the end of the day you see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a loving, caring, and a nourishing Lord, then that'll really manifest itself in how you treat people, how you treat yourself, and how you see your life. But if you see Him as sort of like this tyrant oppressor, wala'adhu billah, then that's also going to kind of like shape your personality as well. And one thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teaches us about the Quran is that it's kind of like our introduction to Him, because it's sort of like a letter that He wrote to us. And so when we read the Quran, not only do you get a lot of theological development and a lot of legal rulings and all that, but you get kind of this personality to understand who is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as much as we can as humans. Now obviously we're not going to be able to fully understand, but as much as we can. And this ayah was recited from Surah An-Nisa. It was really amazing ayah. It's actually ayah number 28, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about how He handles the difficulties that come into our life, or how He wants to handle them, right? And there's a certain roadblock that appears, but we'll explain that in a second. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ أَن يُخَفِّفَ عَنْكُمْ وَخُلِقَ الْإِنسَانُ ضَعِيفًا. He says that He, Allah Himself, wants to lighten the load. He wants to remove the burden, right, from you. He's saying this, he's announcing to everybody, I want to remove the load from everybody. I want to take off the burden. I want to lighten the load from all of you, from your trials and tribulations. Why? وَخُلِقَ الْإِنسَانُ ضَعِيفًا. Because mankind, humankind, men and women were created with weaknesses. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us very bluntly that He is the kind of Lord that wants to help. He wants to aid. He wants to be there, right, as that sort of that help that we need, the one that we call out to when we're in trouble. Because why? Because we're weak. Now what's implicit here? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't say it. It's implicit. It's kind of in between the lines. That the person that is up to making this happen is not Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because He's the constant. He's the constant. He's saying that He is constantly ready, waiting, and available for us to call on Him, for Him to lighten our load because we're weak. But the sort of variable in this equation is us. Do we call on Him or not? Do we see Him as that Lord or not? And it's become all too often now for people to be hit with a sort of trial or tribulation in their life, and the first response that we go through is anger, frustration. We abandon our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And to be honest with you, that's really lacks a lot of humility. That because someone gets hit with a trial or tribulation, maybe it's a serious one. I'm not downplaying how serious it could be. It could be an illness or a death in the family or something. But to abandon your relationship with the Creator of the heavens and the earth because something difficult happened, number one, teaches us that we don't have that much humility. We need to be a little more humble and understand that everyone has issues. The more you talk to your friends, your family, your colleagues, you'll find that everyone has trials and tribulations that they're going through. Not one person has more than the other, right? There's just different kinds. And so to abandon your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala lacks humility. The second thing is that it lacks a sort of honesty about this, and it lacks an understanding of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as who He is. And if we really want to know who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, we read His book. And when we read His book, we find that He is there waiting to help us. We just have to call on Him. And this isn't just some sort of preachy message. It's a serious action item from now on. When anything bad happens, if we forget something at home, car breaks down, whatever difficulty happens, what do we do first? That doesn't mean that we only turn to Allah and don't tie our camel, as we learned from the Prophet ﷺ, to do both. But what do we do first? Do we call on Allah first, or do we call on other people first? Do we seek advice from others first, or do we seek Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's guidance first? After seeking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's guidance and His help, then we take the means and ask other people. But we never ever should leave Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as the last thing on the shelf, the last thing that we go to, the last resort, when everybody else is unavailable or can't help. Oh yeah, by the way, Allah, can you help me now? That's not proper adab, and no one likes to be taken for granted or treated that way. So we should make sure that our relationship with Allah is better than that. I hope that we all benefited from this. I know that I definitely did. And inshallah, I hope you guys benefit from all these series, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.